Hello, y'all. This is an NFL Scouting Combine preview video. As, of course, the day has come to an end for defensive backs and tight ends, it's time to preview Saturdays. And this will be the biggest event if you can look at the wide receiver position. So, yes. Today's preview will be quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. We begin with the quarterbacks. So top two quarterbacks, of course, will not be throwing at the scouting combine, which makes two sense. They know they can be the number one overall pick. Okay, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about their stats. Cam Ward from Miami, who had 4,313 passing yards, 39 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a QB rating of 88.7. Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, 4,134 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a QB rating of 75.5 rating. Both of those guys will not throw tomorrow, but they will be throwing at the pro days. Here are the guys that we're going to be hearing that will be throwing on for tomorrow. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, 4,279 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a QB rating of 86.3 rating. Jalen Milroe from Alabama, 2,844 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a QB rating of 78.4 rating. Will Howard from Ohio State, 4,010 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a QB rating of 89.6 rating. Quinn Ewers from Texas, 3,472 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a QB rating of 75.4 rating. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, 3,857 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QB rating of 86.4 rating. Kyle McCord from Syracuse, 4,779 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a QB rating of 78.6 rating. Curtis Rowe from Indiana, 3,042 passing yards, 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a QB rating of 85.1 rating. And then finally, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, 2,861 passing yards, 27 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a QB rating of 78.7 rating. The guys I am looking forward to keep an eye on is Jackson Dart, who has some great interviews, of course. He is probably going to be projected to maybe be from a second rounder to a first rounder. The guys that I'm looking forward to keep an eye on is Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, and Kyle McCord. We already know what Jalen Milroe is capable of, and we know Will Howard. We know how he is of course, in college. Dylan Gabriel is going to be the next guy in line to probably learn from quarterbacks and then become the starter. That's what I'm looking for Dylan Gabriel. Kyle McCord had a career year in Syracuse, coming off a terrible year in Ohio State, and now he goes in the NFL, maybe trying to learn something from quarterbacks. And then Riley Leonard or Quinn Ewers. Yeah, Quinn Ewers. I really wish he could stay in college, but I think he's more ready for the NFL. I will give all these quarterbacks credit. The one guy I am looking to keep an eye on is Jackson Dart. Can he put himself in a position where you're from a second rounder to maybe potential a first rounder, maybe in the top 20 pick? I'm looking for that. Let's go to the running backs. To the running backs we go. So we're not sure if Ashton Jeanty will participate, but if he's not, we're expecting to see him at the pro days. But in the meantime, here's what we got. Ashton Jeanty from Boise State, 374 carries, 2,601 rushing yards, and 29 rushing touchdowns. We know what he's capable of. First round projected. Who else is in the mix? Here are the rest of the guys. from the draft, top 10. Omar Hampton from UNC, 281 carries, 1,660 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee, 258 carries, 1,491 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns. Travion Hendrickson from Ohio State, 144 carries, 1,016 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. His teammate, Quinton Judkins from Ohio State, 194 carries, 1,060 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. Cam Scatterboo from Arizona State, 293 carries, 1,711 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns. Damian Martinez from Miami, 159 carries, 1,002 rushing yards, and 10 rushing touchdowns. Trevor Etienne from Georgia, 122 carries, 609 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. Ole Gordon II from Oklahoma State, 190 carries, 880 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns. And then finally, Jalen Blue from Texas, 134 carries, 730 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. Now, we know Ashton Jeanty is going to be a first rounder. Omar Hampton from UNC has been mentioned as a first round projected. Now, am I going to see him in this combine? I think he is. The guy that I'm looking forward to see is Cam Scatterboo. We saw what he did in Arizona State. A lot of doubters of him. But here he comes into the combine. Hopefully he does participate. From maybe a third or fourth round projected pick to maybe a potential second or third round guy. Or maybe you could say second round guy. That's what I want to see. I'm looking forward to him. Also looking forward for Quinton Judkins. And I'm also hoping we're going to see a little more of Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. And finally, let's go to the wide receivers. We all know Travis Hunter. I did mention him in the other video. He plays corner and wide receiver. So we'll not see him participating in the combine. But here's what I got. Travis Hunter from Colorado, 96 receptions, 1,258 pass receiving yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. We know Travis Hunter very well. But the big question coming in this draft will be, will he be playing corner and wide receiver? I hope he does. It would be tremendous to see him do both positions in a season. The other guys we're going to expect to hear. Terrence McMillan from Arizona, 84 receptions, 1,319 receiving yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. Luther Burden II from Missouri, 61 receptions, 676 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. Matthew Golden from Texas, 58 receptions, 987 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. Isaiah Bond from Texas, 34 receptions, 540 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State, 81 receptions, 1,011 receiving yards, 10 receiving touchdowns. Trey Harrison from Ole Miss, 60 receptions, 1,030 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Jalen Higgins from Iowa State, 87 receptions, 1,183 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. Tess Johnson from Oregon, 83 receptions, 898 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. Nick Nash from San Jose State, 104 receptions, 1,382 receiving yards, and 16 touchdowns. I know we're going to hopefully McMillan will be doing the combine. The guy I'm looking to hear is Isaiah Bond, who did say in the press conference in his media day that he is looking to beat Xavier Worthy's record that he broke last year, which, let me tell you, wide receivers are the only ones that can be in the history books, and Isaiah Bond knows that. But who else I'm also looking forward to? Well, I'm making a Ibuka. I think he can step up from maybe a top 30 to top 20 pick. Tess Johnson, who is Bo Nix's brother, could probably potentially be a second or third round wide receiver. And then I'm hoping my other guy is Jalen Higgins from Iowa State to probably become from a fifth or fourth rounder to maybe a day 2 draft pick. And that is it. We are down to one more offensive line, which I will preview that tomorrow. If you have not seen my other news, of course, Matthew Stafford returning to the Rams. Go check that out. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell for more sports news, and plus follow me on TikTok and Instagram for more sports news. Day 2 has finally been concluded, and we get ready for day 3.